Hey guys, welcome back to the TomGirl Show here at AfterBuzz TV. We are on episode 2, and we have the amazing voice actress, Cissy Jones. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey there, Delilah, what's it like in New York City?
I haven't heard this song in years.
Yeah, me neither. For Delilah. Nobody ever references this with you now, do they?
Nope, never, not one song.
All right, hey guys, welcome to TomGirl. I'm one of your hosts, JJ Jurgens. You can follow me at JJ Jurgens, and I'm joined here today by my co-host.
Hey guys, I'm Haley Clover. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Haley Clover, and we're very excited to have you in.
Thank
Cissy,
you guys.
where can everybody find you on social media?
I'm on the Twitters at Cissy Speaks and Instagram as well at Cissy Speaks. I think I have a Facebook page, but I don't know. Who uses Facebook anymore, am I right?
Right. It's the old form of social media now.
So we played Delilah because you just won this beauty. Woohoo!
Wait, that actually happened?
It happened.
You can confirm, okay, because I'm still kind of in a dream state about the whole thing.
We have confirmed that. We've watched the acceptance speech. You won the award, which is the BAFTA award for those of you that don't know, this trophy, which I didn't either, and by the way is 100,000 pounds.
It is very not light.
Yeah.
I was afraid, like, coming back through customs that they were going to be like, why do you have a bludgeon with you? And I was like, well, but
So
no
where
comments.
are the awards?
London.
London,
So
okay.
we flew out to London and just had an amazing time, and brought that bad boy back in my carry-on.
And so now tell us, because even I had to look up, there's not a male or female category. Everybody is combined. So this is a really huge deal for, I mean, it's a huge deal regardless, but this is like, you
for
beat the
women.
boys. You kicked ass.
Thank you. It was, can I swear on this show?
Yes.
Yes.
Jesus Christ, you guys, it was insane. Apparently, one of my friends was watching the live feed, and when they announced my name, I jumped like 30 feet in the air and screamed, holy shit, at the top of my lungs. So that kind of explains how I felt.
And this was for your role of Delilah in Firewatch.
In Firewatch, yeah. Which was just, it was like getting in the booth every time to record was like going home, like working with my friends, and I knew the dialogue was going to be interesting and funny, and we got to record. So Rich Sommer, who was Harry Crane on Mad Men, was my co-star, and so he was in his home studio and I was in mine, and our director would Skype us in together, so we'd have like a live conference call and record it that way, which never happens in games. Usually you just record in a void and you're like, was that funny? And you're like, I don't know. So this was just awesome. So recording every time was like going home and winning for the team, and for all the work that everyone put into it, just was icing on this beautiful, delicious cake.
And so now tell us a little bit about, you had worked with these guys before, so they selected you, called you up for this role.
So Sean Vanneman, who wrote the game, and Jake Rodkin, who produced the game, used to work for Telltale Games, which does a lot of adventure-style games. So my first job as a voice actress was working with them on The Walking Dead. Which went on to be an amazing series, and I think to date I've done like 9 characters in that series.
Oh, wow.
But I did a role that Sean wrote as a Belgian woman who'd been living in the States for 14 years, and so she had a very light accent when she spoke, but he wanted to make sure the accent was on and not false. And so I had a Belgian friend, and I followed him around for way too long and made it really awkward. But I learned the accent, and I met Sean at the rap party, and he was like, that was awesome, and you were great, and it was great, and we should work together again. And I was like, oh, the yes. And he called me, 4 years ago, and said, I've left Telltale. Jake and I started a new company, and we're writing this game, and we have a female protagonist. Are you in? And I was like, uh-huh. And took another year before we had scripts and everything ready, before they found their Henry, and then we recorded for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So
So that's how long that, is that a normal time for the process? Or
I think
is
it
that a little
depends
bit-
on the game.
Okay.
They were kind of creating it as we went, and so it wasn't like they had these strict timelines and
Right.
deadlines and that. But it was a little more fluid, and we were able to, change things as we needed to, and they were certainly figuring out their process as well.
Right.
How many, I watched the guy play, so it was about 2.5 hours for him to like get through the game. So was there just the one Firewatch there, because it ended where you're not in the tower.
Spoilers?
Yeah, sorry, spoilers guys. Which I want to
She
talk
just
about
ruined
because
it
there
for
was
me,
major
too.
controversy with that. So was there more after that, or was that's the end?
That was it. And I would say if he beat the game in 2.5 hours, he did it wrong. Because the whole point is to explore and to like. A full gameplay takes about 6 hours if you explore all the little nooks and crannies and you find the places and the little like conversational Easter eggs and stuff like that. 2.5 hours is just going from point A to point B and back. And he probably missed quite a bit.
Well, now
He just
since I
likes
already
to win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he might have just been doing it for who knows,
Well,
the
true.
tutorial. But
Yeah.
Since I did the spoiler, there was I read there was also a lot of controversy about that. A lot of people were unhappy with the way it ended, and then some people offered some very other theories.
Yep.
From Delilah, what can you give us? Anything? Yeah.
No, I mean the thing I love about this game, number one, is it was made by 8 people. So we are not engineers, so we don't understand how much work it takes to make a face and to make the face talk. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of money. And this was a bootstrap team, you know what I mean? So there were a lot of people that were angry that you don't meet Delilah, but there's nothing that she could have been that would have pleased everybody. Yeah. And what I loved about it is that you, as the player, decide how you feel about her based on her character, based on her personality, not the size of her cans, or like, is she cute or is she not cute? Like, do you flirt because like, ooh, what's gonna happen there?
Right.
Or do you not flirt because like, oh, I'd never go for that type. But it's how she makes you feel, which I love, especially as a woman in gaming.
I loved it too, even like having met you before, watching it, because I was curious. I'm like, oh, I wonder what character she's gonna look like. And so I was like wanting to see it, but then I was like, I was kind of glad even that I didn't too, just because it was Delilah's a whole different person to me too.
Yeah.
You get to make it up and.
Now, the great thing is like the fan art that's come out of it. Like these people are sending me these amazing hand-drawn
Of what they
things
think
of
you
what
would
they
look
think
like.
she looks like, and oh man,
See,
it's
that's
so cool.
that's really cool to
Yeah.
see the different interpretations of your voice.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm sure in your mind you had an idea of what she sounded like. You have your own picture, you know, and then you get all this like, oh, I could see that too. Or,
Yeah. It's been really, really cool. It's been really
Your
cool.
take on her, because there's a lot of debate too, whether she is lying, if she's evil, if she knows a lot of things, if she's in on it with Ned. Like, I mean, I'm sure you made choices as an actor along the way. Can you talk about any of the choices that you made for yourself playing the role?
Delilah reminds me of someone who zigged when everyone else zagged. You know, so instead of choosing the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and marriage and all that, she was like, that's not me, and I don't want that for me. So she went a different route. And, you know, in terms of was she in cahoots with Ned? Probably not. But it's fun to theorize, right? I just think she's someone who just doesn't care what people think about her. And then she finds this character that she finds really fascinating, and they form this bond. And but then she's also someone that does not like to commit. And, you know, the threat of commitment was a little too spooky. We've all known that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
We all relate.
Well, and that's one thing I liked is that you kind of, it is interesting because since I'm not a big gamer, would like to explore the world more. So it was fun for me. Really, it reminded me of the movie like She, isn't it?
Yeah.
She, where because I can
Yes,
see
where he
why
falls in
people
love with his-
Yeah.
and I can see where like the fans would fall in love with you and your voice and the because it's like, well, you got this amazing sexy voice, you know, and it is like oh, and even the guy like that I was watching was just like, oh come on, would they just have sex already like you and Henry, you know?
It's not all about the sex, you guys.
Not always.
Not
but
all.
sometimes, you know.
but it was fun because it did really I mean, first of all, the design was amazing. Being out in Boulder, Colorado, which I love anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, being out there, so it was fun to see all that and the lake and the adventure that it took you on.
Yeah.
But then it was also you dropped little things, and we find out about Javier, and then you find you not going to the funeral. I mean, it was neat how little nuggets just got dropped
thrown in.
throughout that. Yeah,
That is what I love about Sean Vanneman, the guy that wrote it, is that he writes these complete characters. Like, even if you don't hear about it in the game, he knows every step of their journey.
Right.
And he'll tell me when we're recording, so he's like, well, this is why she says that, even if I don't say it for the gameplay, but then it helps me understand the character. He's such a brilliant writer. And Sean, I will work with you any day on anything forever until the end of time. Just like,
I know, and you find a partnership that works.
yeah, it was really once in a lifetime thing. It was great. Well, hopefully not once in a couple of years. I don't know. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
awesome.
give someone else a
hopefully.
chance.
I
No, I'm
mean,
just kidding.
No. Look,
Don't do
Ashley
that.
Johnson's got 2, okay?
Okay, so you need at least 3 then.
All right, we'll go for a
gotta-
hat trick.
Right, exactly. Oh, that's funny. It is interesting that how the game looks, because when I first clicked on a video on YouTube to watch, and by the title, you don't necessarily think that's what it's gonna be at all. And when I was watching, I was like, well, this doesn't really remind me of a video game that I used to play or anything like that. But it is interesting, because for people that don't game a lot, that would be something that I feel like I could step into and maybe try.
Yeah, it's the human experience.
Yeah.
It's not like shoot 'em up and kill everything in your path, which there's a place for, and people love that, and that's great. But I think character studies are just as interesting, and now becoming a little more common.
Well, and I totally agree with you, because I'm the same. Like, that's kind of reasons I've stayed away from, like,
Right.
they didn't want to shoot them up.
And
that
I
kind of
physically
thing.
can't play Call of Duty. I tried with my boyfriend, and my fingers do not work the right way. And I'm like athletic, and I have good hand-eye coordination. And there was something so frustrating about that game that I just
I die.
But what's
all
cool
the
is
time.
it was like the choose your own adventure books.
Right. Yeah.
So I liked how you could click on what you wanted him to say, what you wanted him to do, and I was like,
It's like an interactive.
Yeah.
It's like an interactive movie. Like it's an interactive movie experience, which I adore. You know, because you always think in the movies like, no, you should have said, duh, and now you have the opportunity to have him say, duh, and it's wonderful.
And then probably to play again and see what if you said the other thing, it would go.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is, not only do they have to create one story, they give you the option of maybe four things. So they have to create 4 different storylines based on what people are going to choose.
But also, you could choose option A in this dialogue tree, and then option C in this one, so it
this
has
is
to
like
tie
a high
in.
school word problem, math problem.
Yeah.
When you have these 4 numbers and these 4 numbers, and how many different combinations can you make? And it's like, way too many.
It's funny because there's a branch where you can ignore Delilah the whole game and just be a complete jerk to her, and then she starts to sound really like sad and pathetic and like, hey, so I'm just, if you want to hang out or talk. So it's really funny.
awesome.
There's somebody actually wrote an article about like how sad it was. I'm like, don't do that, meanie.
Yeah, I like sassy Delilah because she dropped F-bombs like no
that
other.
was
And I'm
amazing.
like, yes!
She's my girl.
She was also a drinker. And I know you yourself, you like Scotch, right?
I'm a
That's
Scotch
your
girl.
choice?
Yeah,
Oh,
Scotch
wow.
or bourbon. I like a good bourbon.
Good,
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, well, it's not like I get
Liquor.
trashed, but at the end of the
right.
night, it's just nice to have like the little ice cubes clinking around, and something about it warms you up.
Literally.
Literally. Yeah.
Oh my God, that stuff burns going down.
You've been drinking the wrong stuff.
That's
So you
true.
need the good
That's
stuff.
true. Very true.
Which one is your favorite?
I love Oban Scotch. It's so good. It's really smooth.
Interesting.
So you gotta try next.
So when you started doing voiceover work, I'm guessing that gaming was not the first thing that you got into, or was it?
It was the first thing I booked. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, The Walking Dead, which was just amazing. And again, like I was saying, most games are recorded kind of in a vacuum, and The Walking Dead was as well. But the other actors that worked on the game, we all met afterwards and became friends because it was such an insane experience, because it was just this emotional like toggle back and forth between like everyone I love is dead and how do I survive. And they're still some of my closest friends. I'm actually having dinner with them tonight, which is so rare, because sometimes you'll meet somebody and you'll be like, oh, you were on that thing, I was on that thing too. Oh, cool. But this one was like, the thing in episode 2, could you believe? I know, it's crazy. So it's been really, games have been really just life-altering for me. It's been really fun. But then I did start doing a lot of commercial work and some promo work and some trailer work and some animation work, and so it's my full-time job.
That's
luckily
amazing.
enough for me.
Well, go for
Okay,
it.
tell people some of the other things you were telling us, Ralph's today.
Yeah.
Where else were people may be able to recognize your voice?
Yeah, stop by Ralph's for broccoli, only $2.99 a head. I do the weekly Ralph specials, which is great. I did the John Wick 2 trailer. This Valentine's Day, everyone gets some action.
Which is huge, guys, because women, it is very rare for women to get trailers. So
That's true. You always picture the one in a year.
Exactly.
3,000 miles.
So
Yeah.
so all you women, boys, whoever out there wanting to be in VO, definitely watch this girl. Cause
There's opportunities
through.
coming
Yeah.
up. There's opportunities coming up. And I can't think of anything else at the top of my head right now because my brain is Swiss cheese. But I am lucky enough to work in all the different fields of voiceover.
Other ways besides just, booking more jobs, how did you study your craft?
So I lived in the San Francisco Bay Area, and there are a couple of voiceover schools up there. And so I just kind of started taking classes. You know, here in LA, we have Kalmanson and Kalmanson and the Voicecaster, and there are also some really amazing individual coaches. You know, Mary Lynn Wisner and Dave Walsh and other people who are just above and beyond brilliant and willing to give so much of themselves. So taking classes, learning acting. But also, I can't overstate the importance of finding a mentor, of someone who believes in you and pushes you when you think you are at your lowest. So Mary Lynn Wisner, who I just mentioned a moment ago, she actually made this award for me after the BAFTA, and it says Cissy Jones BAFTA, Delilah, Firewatch, Voiceover Ladies Who Lunch. It's just this little group of women that I have that we get together and celebrate each other. And it's so important in this business where all you hear is no, to find people that say yes. And that's, you know, Mary Lynn has been a big driver in my career. Tom Pinto, Dave Walsh, my agent and I have a great relationship, which is something that if you can cultivate it, do it. My agent, Dean Panero, is like the bee's knees, and I love him. But it's a relationship like any other, and you have to be open with each other and, you know, tell the hard truths sometimes, whether you want to hear them or not.
Sure.
But it's important.
So you were working in Silicon Valley before. How did that transition come about? And what were you doing before with with your 9 to 5 to
You mean 9 to 9?
Yeah, so right.
Yeah.
I worked in the Silicon Valley, in startup land, as you do in the Silicon Valley, and I was working for a couple of different startups, and I was miserable. You know, my alarm clock would go off in the morning, and the first thought through my head was, God, you know, which is just not a good place to be. And that was the PG version, by the way, in case my children are watching. But I had always wanted to do something different, and it's funny, my husband and I had gone to Alaska like 2 weeks prior to this whole thing happening, and we were talking about dream jobs, like, what's your dream job? And I was like, I want to be a Simpson. And they were like, who doesn't? But I didn't know how. I didn't even know it was called voiceover. And the 2 weeks later, I was getting ready for work one of those mornings, and I heard Nancy Cartwright, who's the voice of Bart Simpson, on the radio promoting the Simpsons movie, and she was like, you guys, there's a school in San Francisco that's awesome, and if you want to do voiceover, you should go there. And I called that day, and I started taking classes that week, and 2 years later, I had an agent, and I quit my job.
Great.
And
That's awesome.
It was, I mean, I was 30 at the time that I started taking classes. I was 32 when I left my very well-paying job to be a starving artist. And it was terrifying. And I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of balls.
That does, yeah. Like, well, let's talk a little bit more about that, because a lot of people, you know, will tell you at that age that, oh, you should be
set.
Yeah.
I married the most wonderful human being on the planet, and he believed in me from the beginning, and he was like, you know what you want to do, and you actually have a propensity for it. Why would you do that when you could do this? And so he really supported me, and he really believed in me. Again, like finding someone that believes in you, even on those dark days when there was no belief in myself. But, you know, once I got signed in LA, again, it was him who said, listen, we don't have kids. We don't have a mortgage. Let's move to LA and see what happens. And here we are.
Yeah, he sounds awesome.
He's
amazing. And I'm so grateful every day. But that was a huge part of it. You know, again, I also have a great relationship with my agent. And he's really cultivated me from the ground up and helped me achieve things that I didn't think were possible. And having people push me, and people believe in me, and people not let me fall down the trap of no, because it's so easy to do when you're an actor. It's so easy to do.
It is, isn't it? Those conversations.
Yeah.
When you have them in your head almost every single day.
Yeah.
Because there are 100 other things you could be doing.
So the interesting thing I heard one time that really pushes me through a lot is, your job is not to do the gig well, because by the time you've gotten to the gig, you're getting paid, even if you suck. Your job is to audition well, and that is unpaid. You know, and I think 6 years ago, the national average was out of every 125 National Union television spots, which are the spots you want to book because they pay really well, out of 125, you book one.
Yeah.
And I can only assume it's gone up from there. So that's kept me alive a lot of times. Because they're really good people, and it's not like they get promoted and leave the job open for someone else.
Right.
You know, like Tara Strong is still Tara frickin' Strong.
Right.
And not only that, you have now the celebrities, high-end celebrities that before wouldn't touch voiceover.
Yeah,
or wouldn't
Julia
touch...
Roberts is the voice of Nationwide Insurance.
Yeah.
Did
Really?
anybody know that?
Did not.
There you go. So yeah.
John Hamm, Mercedes,
I mean,
right?
yeah.
Like, I mean,
But John
everybody-
Hamm sounds very much like John Hamm. But Julia Roberts, you know, like I started seeing specs that were like, we wanted to sound like Julia Roberts in the Nationwide, and I was like, Julia Roberts is
Does
voice?
it-
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow. That is interesting.
Sure, pal. But yeah, you have the celebrities getting the massive endorsements, and the journeymen just don't get that kind of money. So it's, you know, every day is different.
Yeah, and I think so. You have that. Then you also have now that everybody's kind of found out. Oh, we can do voiceover from home. We just need a mic and our computer, and we can. So you have more people. all
a great voice.
Right. Yeah. So people across the country are all trying to do it too.
And they are.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people in Middle America making six figures, like good money, doing random non-union jobs, and they're killing it, and that's awesome. But LA and New York and Chicago are different markets.
Right.
They just are.
Yeah.
So
what do you love most about voiceover?
I love that every day is different. I love that whatever I hear in my head is what I get hired on. You know what I mean? I don't get hired because of the way I look
Right.
or how old I am, maybe. You know, it's not like I can like pull off a teenager believably anymore, but I love that I get hired because people like what I bring to the table. And it makes me hungry for more, always more. I love it.
So you were telling us too. I was surprised that you go to some video game jobs and you don't know what your role is or what you're reading until you get there, and that surprised me because most other VO jobs they let you know what you booked and you're playing the role of this, and sometimes you might not get your copy much before, but you kind of know what you're doing.
It's an interesting thing in video games, and one of the things I loved so much about Firewatch was it was like, listen, this is it, and this is what we're doing, and this is the thing, and talk to the press about it. But most games they have what they call a hype cycle. And I just learned this because my friend was kind of educating me on this whole thing. But there's a certain amount of time before a game releases that if the public finds out about what it is before the hype cycle, the fanfare dies down by the time the game is released. So that is their reasoning for keeping it under their belt, which I can understand. What's really challenging is when you're given this, 5-scene audition and you have no clue what the hell is going on. And so you just make it up. Right. And it's like, I could be on the nose, but chances are I'm probably not. So it's challenging. It comes with its own set of challenges for sure.
And you've said that you've played different characters in the same game. What's that like, knowing the story of the other one, but then having to do a totally different person?
It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun. So I did Katja, who is the Belgian immigrant. And then I did Crazy Jolene, who was in the woods, and she'd just been crazy because they killed her daughter, and she was like nuts. And then there was Bree, who had cancer, and she was just real angry about a lot of things. So it was just a different energy. And then there was Dee, who was just, there was a hussy trying to steal her man. Fun fact, I was in that session for her when I went into labor.
Oh my God!
Finished the session. Thank you. 3 hours
So
later.
the whole time she was kind of like,
Are you serious?
"Ah."
3
serious.
hours later?
Yeah.
She did a lot of moaning in that.
Well, she did get her face bashed in by a metal pipe. Yeah. So, yeah, it was. It's just so fun. It's so fun. And that that particular series is very like realistic and like the show. It's very dramatic. But other things where you can be a little more animated and a little more charactery with it, it gets real fun.
Do you find yourself doing voices everywhere you go?
All the time.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, hubby.
He probably loves it.
My kids love it when
Yeah.
I'm reading books to them at night. There's this book called The Day the Crayons Quit, and my daughter makes me read every crayon in a different voice, which is really fun.
There's 52 crayons.
Yeah. By the end, I'm like, I don't know, kid. It just sounds like me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just fun. And like going to London for the BAFTAs was like research. I was like, what does this person's accent sound like?
Right.
So I love that. So we watch a lot of television in the name of research.
What are tips that you could give to maybe some other voiceover people out there, or how you go about developing a character?
That is the secret sauce. You get to decide, what does this person think about when they wake up in the morning? What is the last thing they think about when they're going to bed at night? Who are they talking to? Where are they? Is it a crowded room, or is it really intimate? Are they angry? Are they happy? Why are they saying what they're saying? I mean, these are like, I mean, it's basic acting. But you have to do it all with your mouth, with your voice. Like, you don't have the luxury of body language and facial expressions. You have to figure out how to make that raised eyebrow sound with your voice. And it's fun. Like, and so for anybody who is interested in it, I would say play. Listen to things, and listen to your favorite cartoons or your favorite video games, or, you know, don't fast forward through the commercials. Please don't fast forward through the commercials.
Especially the Ralph's commercials.
Especially Ralph's. But listen. Everything is research. Like, watching people walk by and about how angry, how one person sounds when they're angry versus another person, or like how one person sounds when they're elated versus another person could be like, oh my God, I'm so happy right now. You know, so it's like,
Right.
And then taking those and storing them. Like, I used to have a little notebook that I would write down, like the Britney Spears one, you know, and just write it down, and just keep it, because you never know when something's going to come across, and you're going to go, oh my God, that one. Like, I just did one that was like this for like pretty much a whole episode, and it was awesome. But you never know.
Like, that reminded me of that girl on the street, and she was like so pissed off at her friends. Yeah.
What about the use of your body too? Like,
Yeah, I mean, even though you can't see it when you hear the finished product, the microphone picks it up. Like, if I stand here with my arms at my side and I'm trying to get really excited about something, like, there's you can hear it, but then if I start getting animated and like my hands are moving and like, yeah, and this happened and blah blah blah, it brings a whole different perspective to what is coming out of your face.
For sure. Well, people even say too, like, just the motion of smiling, even if you're not happy, if you just sit there with a smile, you can like totally change, you know, your energy and all of that. So even if you can do that physically without saying anything, you know, the difference that it would make saying something is probably
But
insane.
even like, listen to commercials, listen to basic commercials, and listen when you hear this versus when you hear this. You know what I mean? It's like healthcare is like, listen, we really care about you and we want good things for you. But then Ralph's is like super happy and excited, you guys. Come in and buy the broccoli. It's delicious.
Right. Because then we have to give you all of the side effects, and there are a lot of them.
Right. You don't want to hear about what this may cause, so just don't take it. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's funny. What other things besides voiceover do you like to do? Like, just in your normal day life, because your career allows you to, you know, have different days every day. What else do we see you doing?
I mean, I'll be honest, it's a pretty all-consuming job, because there's a lot of like networking that's kind of involved in it.
Sure.
Like talent is kind of the baseline, but then your job is to always kind of make sure people know who you are. So that takes up a lot of time. But luckily, the people I spend time with are awesome. So I lunch a lot, but I have kids, and we are ladies who lunch. I have kids, so I like to spend time with them, and, you know, take them out, go to parks, go to the zoo, go to, you know, classes, spend time with my husband, and, you know, however we can make it work.
Sure. Is there a dream, any dream role that you want? You know, like a certain cartoon character? Or, yes.
I'd still like to be a Simpson.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. Work is work, and I love what I do. I would love to be a series regular on a network animated show, with just a ballsy, badass woman. You know, I think the damsel in distress is kind of a bygone era, and you're starting to see some really awesome stuff, awesome content for women coming out. I want that. I want all of that. So let's make that happen.
Yes.
We want it for you, too.
Yeah, we do.
So it's a good start right here, beating out the men. That's a good start.
Are there more projects coming out? Anything in the works that people can look out for you for?
There was a game, a little indie game that just came out called The Search, that was made by one guy.
Oh, wow.
And it's a beautiful little kind of metaphysical journey about discovering who you are and what makes you you. So that's a beautiful little indie that I'm really proud of. And then there's a ton of stuff coming out that's all under NDA because the hype cycle.
Yeah, right. We're not in the hype.
Yeah. I just did some animation and some anime, and I don't know if I can talk about either of them, but it's really fun to kind of break into those as well.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty different anime.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about anime is that they've already recorded the Japanese voiceover, right? And they've animated the characters to the Japanese voiceover. Okay. So when they translate it into English, they have to match the lip flap. So that's why it's like, it'll be like, arigato gozaimashite, and then it'll be like, thank you very much, sir. You know, like you have to like and spit it out at the right time. So you're recording to picture, and they have like the 3 beeps that lead you in, beep beep beep, and then you start talking, and you have to hit it like right when the mouth opens, and like try to match it when they talk. It's very.
You sounded like you learned some Japanese maybe a little bit along the way.
A little bit. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Arigato.
Yeah. Talk about the technical thing a little bit, because I know like most jobs you're on mic, but you said you did a couple where the mics were on your head, and so you were able to move around.
This performance capture, so that's where they, you know, it's like Gollum, right? With I forget the guy, Andy, what's his name?
Yes,
anyway, he's amazing. But
thank you, God.
Andy Serkis, God bless you. So that you put this this black suit on, and they put reflective balls all over your body, covered in balls for the day, and then they put this helmet on your head with that has its own things, and these 2 cameras that come down right in front of your eyes, and then these lights turn on, and they're like, just act normal. So you have to, you know, memorize your lines, which I was like, I got in a voiceover, so I didn't have to memorize anything, whatever. And it's really cool. So you're with the other people on a sound stage, you know, at Warner Brothers or wherever, and you're all kind of acting this thing out together. So the one I did, the majority of my performance capture for was a game called Fragments that came out with the Oculus Rift. And so what it does is it scans the room that you're in when you put the helmet on, and then my character will end up sitting on your chair or leaning against that wall if there's no chair in the room or something. It's really insane.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Crazy technology, man.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Anything else?
Well, I'd love to hear her opinions on some of the girls you've got written down over there.
Ooh.
Or some of the ladies of the week.
What are you talking
Do you have TomGirls of the week?
Oh, I have one TomGirl of the week this week.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
We always give a TomGirl of the week, somebody that we can look up to as a woman. And
I love it.
So there she is, cute little Addi Pastrana. So her dad is Travis Pastrana, and if you guys follow Nitro Circus at all, she's just awesome and just like Daredevil. I mean, the things these guys do on their bikes, and the circus is actually on tour right now. I believe they're overseas, and then they're gonna do a giant like world tour, and then they will be back. If you're in the LA area, they'll be in San Diego on June 17th. If anyone wants to see. Anyway, that's his daughter, and when I saw them in LA, she was, I think she's 3 now, so she must have been like 1.5 or even two, because I think it was 2. I think it was last year. Anyway, she was on these big ramps and stuff with these guys, and I'm like, this girl is just so badass. Like you can tell, she just loved it. So I was always following them on Instagram, and he's always doing fun things with her, and you know, his wife is big into it as well. So they're adorable family. So anyway, they had video of her this week. He recorded where he's the super dad cheering her on, and she's on her little dirt bike doing her first dirt bike race at 3 years old, rocking the pink helmet and all, and she crushed it. She won. So just something
so
for
awesome.
You TomGirls out there, another person to follow, and and the whole Nitro Circus crew is just amazing.
I'm scared to get on one now, and I'm 24, and I can't imagine that she can even physically ride one herself at that age
And like win stuff. Like what?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What?
And you're actually good at it.
She'd probably whoop my butt.
And just, I mean, the things, these ramps she was on too, before, like, she's going to have no fear. Because, I mean, these are giant, big things that this little girl has been on. And she just, like, loves it. And she has a face like that where she's, like, she's not crying.
And you have
she's,
so
like,
cute.
young kids.
I do,
Would you
yeah.
ever put your child on a dirt bike?
No,
Yeah.
don't get any ideas.
Right.
No, I mean, listen, if my kids wanted to do it, I would absolutely encourage it, but it scares me to death.
Yeah.
So let's just hope that's not in the realm of things that you really want to try.
What about, will your kids be wanting to do some VO?
I would not mind if my kids wanted to do VO. I would not let them do on camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would not mind if they wanted to do VO.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'll pull the Goldie Hawn card and be like, you want to do on camera? You wait till you're 18. because I don't want
Well, that worked out well
a
for,
Drew Barrymore meltdown. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's a wrap for us today. But thank you so much for coming in.
Thank
It's
you
so
guys
great
so
to talk
much.
to you and
Thank
hear-
you for highlighting
Yeah.
women and encouraging women to kick ass. I really love that.
That's what we're trying to build here. So you guys listening to, if there's anybody you'd like us to try to get in here, or anybody that you just think is a badass woman that you want to hear more from, let us know. We'll do our best to try to get in touch, get them in, even if it's on the phone, whatever. Because we just want, I mean, and we're for the boys too. We have nothing against boys, but I would love, for some girl out there to be like, I want to be a video game voiceover talent, and get into it and see you as the example and look up to you and follow you and go for it, So thank you for sharing.
And I need to
all
find a
your
group
things.
to ladies with lunch.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a thing. It's a thing. Get a good
It should
group.
be if it's not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So one more time, tell everybody where they can follow you at.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Cissy Speaks. Don't go to Cissy Jones because it's not me. But at Cissy Speaks is me, and I really try to get back to people who tweet at me or whatever. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Haley Clover.
And you guys can find me at JJ Jurgens, and then you can follow us at TomGirl TV. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.